Hey everyone, Nicole Steckline, Technical Agronomist for DeKalb and Asgrow in Northeast Iowa. And I just wanted to give you a quick update on what I am seeing in the field.
So first up is results of push tests. That one bent there. There's another one gone. These are not hard to push over at all. So I went through and I did some push tests in this cornfield. I'm in Black Hawk County, in an area that has been dry here for the last month or so, and I'm finding a lot of these stalks, about 80%, are kinking in the internodal space. So while it looks like they're kinking right at the node, which is what you would think about Physoderma, it's actually kinking right above it. So if this was Physoderma, you would see that black tissue or that black tissue death right along the nodes where these roots are coming out. That's what we have on this stalk right here, where this node tissue, the meristematic, is what's actually being infected. So Physoderma is node rot. It is not stalk rot. That's because it infects the meristematic tissue only. So that tissue that's kind of like stem cells when you think about humans is because it can differentiate into stalk tissue or leaf tissue or root tissue. So when we're looking at these stalks bending over when we do our push test, it's not necessarily because there's a stalk rot. So if we open a lot of these up, we're finding that the tissue itself is healthy. However, this last month where we're trying to fill those kernels out, since there's no water, it's extremely dry here. Since there's no water, nutrients need to move through water, and if the ear can't pull it up from the roots, it will cannibalize it from the stalk. And that is that's decreasing the integrity of these. So I really encourage getting out here, doing some of these push tests. Look for stalk rots, look for Physoderma node rot, and start making a plan for harvest. In this particular plant here, I saw that it had died prematurely, and I went ahead and I split the stalk. And you can see this pink color down in about the first to second node above the soil line. You can see this pink coloration, so what we're probably looking at here is Gibberella stalk rot. Another telltale visual sign of the beginnings of stalk rot, even before you can see some of the rot in the stalk, is taking a look at early tissue death, early leaf death, where we still got the color, but it looks like they're drying up and dying out right there. A lot of times it'll happen in the middle of the canopy where they aren't showing any nutrient stress. And then you come down here to the bottom of the plant and you can start seeing here we've got some Physoderma starting on these nodes. And then we can also see right here what's probably going to turn up to be anthracnose stalk rot as well. In addition to stalk rots, a lot of these plants, given the very cool, wet spring that we had, were infected early on by pathogens that can also cause crown rot, specifically Fusarium. So when you're going through and you're doing push tests, if you push and it breaks off closer to the surface, go ahead and dig those plants up and split it and take a look at the crown. So here we've got some crown rot going on, and you can see on the inside there where it could be decreasing the integrity and the standability of this plant. Something else that I'm seeing a fair amount of would be corn aphids. Now, these typically aren't a problem. Usually the issue is that they're going to eat pollen or gum up the silks with their honeydew. These insects tend to prefer stressed plants. Now, not usually an issue, but when you are having really dry, soon to be hot weather periods, these are causing these plants, they're kind of sucking the juice out of these corn plants, which is going to cause further cannibalization of that stalk. On the soybean side, we're really starting to turn and start looking like fall here in Northeast Iowa. And I expect that to continue really quickly as we really reach up the temperatures here in these next coming days. The trend on soybean yield, unfortunately, this year has been now you see it, now you don't. We had really good pod set earlier on when we were getting some rains, end of July and early August. But as we go forward, I'm seeing that a lot of those top clusters that we had failed to start filling out or really put any beans in them at all. I'm also finding a lot of these 3 and 4 4-pod beans where they're just giving up. So we've got beans in there, and where it's filling out some of them, and the rest of them in that pot are just shriveling up, and they won't be anything. On the disease side, sudden death didn't show up near to the extent that it did last year, whether it's because of environmental conditions or because of the heavy use of a levo seed treatment. White mold I'm finding a lot of, but it has failed to spread like what we see when we correlate that to heavy yield loss because of the disease. So I'm seeing a lot of it, but it's not really spreading and killing a lot of areas of the field, much like what we saw last year where it showed up but it didn't spread very far. Because of the wet early season that we had, I am starting to find a lot of brown stem rot, Phytophthora root and stem rot, as well as some scatterings of other diseases, which we're going to see decreasing the number of beans that we get filled in those pods, as well as decreasing the size of the pods. So that's what I've been seeing in the field these last couple of days. If you have any questions, call or email.